right, chat. It's time. Genshin VA just admitted that the strike is a failure. Is it over? Is the VA strike over, chat? That's still going on. Yeah, that is still going on. Trust me. I haven't even uploaded the videos or so for this week, so we got more VA, but this could probably be the end. Maybe, question mark. This could probably be the end, maybe. Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, let's take a look, shall we? Is this the end of the VA stuff? I'm hoping it is, because Jesus Christ. I've been literally covering this and watching over this, like keeping track of this for such a long time. Man, dude, honestly. I know, tell me about it. They need to stop.
So it's been a little while since we've had an update on the English voice actor / Hoyoverse
Thank God.
voice actor situation. And by a little while, I mean like 4 to 5 days.
Yeah, true.
But that's still a while compared to the pretty much daily updates that we were having earlier in the week and going on for like a month or so.
True.
But one of the reasons why we haven't had an update in the last 4 to 5 days is because a lot of the voice actors who were making crazy unhinged takes and ranting and being all toxic over on places like Blue Sky had the bright idea to actually stop making crazy posts, which...
What? They actually stopped making crazy fucking posts? What? That's crazy. Wow, that's crazy to hear that. Oh my goodness gracious me. Wow.
I suppose is some character development. But of course, they still tried to have the last word. For example, Kaiser Neko saying, "I'm done talking about any of this." That Blue Sky post following a number of Blue Sky posts he made that were essentially saying why people need to support SAG. To be fair, he did provide some criticisms of the union, but ultimately he did boil his take down to SAG may do some things bad, but it's important that we support them.
Fucking Blue Sky. It's always Blue Sky as always.
He's done talking about any of this stuff. What's really funny too, I mean, that's funny by itself, but what's really funny too is this little clique of EAs over on Blue Sky, for example, Kaiser Neko, Little Kribo, and Karina Boatger, Paimon VA. They're like constantly reposting each other, mainly Karina. Like Kaiser Neko and her Little Kribo would make posts, and then Karina would like repost them and add her commentary to it. And around the time that Kaiser said that he was done talking about this stuff, Karina's been like radio silent on her Blue Sky account too. And some people, if you're familiar with the videos I've been making on this, and that little, and that little Pomeranian, the Pomeranian of Doom person, I almost like friggin' polymorphed Pomeranian of Doom and Little Kribo together, but no. The Pomeranian of Doom person, a lot of people were speculating that it might be Karina's alt account, and it is funny that right around the time Karina stopped posting on Blue Sky, Pomeranian of Doom like slowed down the frequency of posting on Blue Sky. Ultimately, they're probably not the same person, just a part of the same hive mind. But I also don't. I'd
be curious if it is actually, to be honest.
That's her alt account. Like it's greater than 0%. It's just not the most likely explanation, in my opinion at least. However, if it really did come out that Karina is actually running that Pomeranian account, they are the same person, I mean, that would just be like peak comedy. It's hard to believe that anything else regarding Karina could get even funnier, but that would certainly be the icing on the cake. I mean, all the times that Pomeranian of Doom is like going to Karina's posts, like trying to act like Karina's like totally right, and then Karina's just like reposting all that. If it's really just her doing it, oh my gosh, dude, it'd be hilarious. Anyways, I just thought that was all pretty funny, but now on to the important stuff. Because SAG-AFTRA recently held a meeting for their members about the strike, and it seems like there was a little incident that occurred at the meeting involving VA Jennifer Hale, which she goes on to apologize about, which we'll take a look at. On top of that, it also seems like some VAs are saying that the strike has done more harm than good.
No, duh.
For it to end. First, the context on how we got there. It all began with this video game strike member info meeting that SAG-AFTRA officially held on April 29th. They
April
described
29th?
this as, "We invite all performers who work the interactive media agreement to join us for a strike update meeting. Hear from the interactive media agreement negotiating
They have
committee
meetings?
and lead negotiators about where we stand with the video game employers. The committee would also like to hear directly from members who have worked under video game contracts, so please plan to attend." The italic text reading, "This meeting is open to paid-up SAG-AFTRA members in good standing. Paid through April 30th, 2025. No guests are allowed. Parents and guardians of performers under 18 years old are welcome." On Blue Sky, voice actor Kyle McCarley, with the profile pic definitely letting you know that he's on strike, says, "To all SAG-AFTRA members working in video games, The interactive committee has just finished another round of
Hey,
negotiations.
yo, if they don't want to work in video games for voice acting or so, shit, man, this would probably be a good opportunity for me to get back into voice acting, to be honest. This actually would be an actual good opportunity. Just do my demo reel again, redo my demo reel, and then like, and then try to sign up to some projects or so, you know? This would probably be pretty good.
And request your urgent attendance.
I've seen that pipe on.
Informational meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific. Register, blah, blah, blah. Stuff we already read. And after the meeting, he went on to say, woke up this morning feeling very proud of my SAG-AFTRA brothers,
I'm just busy, unfortunately. That's the worst part about it.
Space.
So I feel mostly
Thanks for
exhausted
showing
all
up
the
and making
time
your
when I'm trying to do
voices heard.
voices.
Let's win this fight. And that context takes us to VA Jennifer Hale,
Who?
who you might be familiar with. Best known for her work in video game franchises such as Baldur's Gate,
Never
Mass
played it.
Effect,
Never played
Metal
it.
Gear
Never
Solid,
played it.
BioShock Infinite, Metroid Prime,
Yes.
Halo, Overwatch,
Never
Star
played it.
Wars
Never
Knights of
played
the
it. Never
Republic,
played it. Never
and
played it.
Guinness World Records calling her the most prolific video game actor in 2013.
Never heard of her.
And on May 1st,
Never heard of her.
the other day, she said, I want to sincerely apologize for losing my temper during our meeting. I let my emotions take over, and I take full responsibility for that. My delivery was wrong, even if the concern behind it was real. So presumably, the meeting that's being referred to is the SAG-AFTRA meeting that we went over just a moment ago in this video. Continuing with her statement, she says, the truth is, I'm heartbroken for our industry, for our colleagues, and just for the countless people affected by this strike. This isn't just about actors, recording studios, developers, casting directors, agents, production teams, our entire ecosystem is hurting. Some are already losing their homes. Others are struggling to provide for their families. We are close to a deal.
Maybe they shouldn't be doing the strike if they're struggling to get their, to get money for their family. I'm just saying,
That's why it's so important our members see it for themselves, both the wins secured and the very real consequences of not reaching an agreement. Minimizing progress or pushing for more without acknowledging what's already being lost is dangerous. This moment demands clarity, compassion, and compromise. Let's come together, not just to end the strike, but to protect the community we all care so deeply about. Now, of course, we don't have the specifics for
there should be a job opening or so somewhere at a fast food place, for them. Just
apologizing
saying.
for here during the meeting because we haven't seen that. But whether you agree or disagree with her or some other opinion, at the very least, I think this take is better than what Krina Bocher had said, referring to her now infamous crash out rant, where she basically said that if you're not a voice actor, your opinion on this stuff doesn't matter at all. And I think she also said that, like, you're stupid or something. So yeah, that whole crash out. Well, at least Jennifer Hale is acknowledging that this strike does affect many other people than just the voice actors, because that is true, and something that I pointed out myself in response to Karina's crazy rant.
True.
That it was very self-centered and egotistical of her to act like the only people being affected here are VAs, when that is certainly not the case, given, as Jennifer Hale said, these things affect the production overall, and something Jennifer Hale didn't say, which is also the people who consume it, of course. In the case of like Hover's games, the gamers, the fans, the people who play the games. But still, yeah, it's a bigger scope than just the VAs. Good that Jennifer Hale is acknowledging that, and maybe Karina can take some notes here. Probably she won't, but who knows? Oh my gosh, guys. I think I outdid Grok. Look at this. Someone in the responses asked for context, and Grok responds just talking about like some of the video game strike stuff. But as we know, this is actually likely referring to the whole SAG meeting thing. Guys, can I get some praise in the comments for like being smarter than an artificial intelligence? I mean, like that's pretty cool, right? But also, I'm joking because the AI might take over one day. So my apologies to Grok and Nero-sama and all the AI out there. I don't want any trouble. Please forgive me. Please don't hurt me. Moving on. Voice actress Allegra Clark, the VA for Beidou in Genshin. I always forgot to say.
Oh, that's the VA for Beidou? That's the VA for Beidou? Okay, that's interesting.
Man, some of these Genshin, like so many of these Genshin names actually are so difficult to pronounce. You wouldn't believe how long it took me to pronounce Shinsho, if I'm even saying that right now. But anyways, Allegra Clark responds to Jennifer Hale and says, I'm not privy to anything that happens during negotiations, what the current language is or isn't, or anything along those lines. But I am genuinely scared that this strike will have done more damage to the industry than anyone could have first seen, whether AI wins or not. She goes on to say, there's so much ugliness happening in the community, mistrust, accusations, sabotage, and fractured friendships. The stakes of the strike are understandably massive, given that
I don't play
how our
ZZZ.
voices are used in the future, whether we consent to any of it or are paid. Those stakes mean that everyone is on edge and everyone is passionate. But my gosh, I don't recognize the industry compared to last year. This is a freaking nightmare, and I think it needs to end. I don't know what we gain from holding out further on the overall contract. I'm not privy to any specific language and don't know for sure whether what's on the table right now would screw us over royally. But I'm equally concerned for directors, engineers, casting, studios, people whose work has been impacted and, frankly, will be impacted whether we're paid fairly for our digital doubles or not.
Yeah, we already
given
talked
they
about that
won't be hired
already.
either. I also know full well that a lot of work is leaving the US, and as someone here, I would like to keep working. Something has to give. I don't know what that looks like or means under the circumstances. I felt like I've had to keep my head down for 9 months because it always seems like my feelings are contrary to what everyone else is saying. I want a fair contract. I want to know that my voice/performances are being used with my consent. I don't like the idea of AI in art, but I also understand that the tech companies that drive game studios need to know that they're not being limited in terms of tech/innovations.
Huh?
I truly hate all of this and wish that SAG had stopped it all outright during the TV film strike in 2023, and know that the interactive NAGCOM is
Wait, you're
continuing
telling me this thing started all the way in before 2023? What? Eh?
to work with the hand they've been dealt. Quick context, I'm
fuck?
assuming
Oh.
NAGCOM means negotiating committee, like the thing we read earlier. Continuing. But for everyone's sake, this strike also needs to end as soon as possible. It is a horrible time to be a voice actor right now. Every conversation is about the strike. Every conversation is about AI. I'm constantly bracing myself, wondering who I can trust, who's talking about me behind my back. Fans don't trust us. We'll never fully recover from this.
Of course the fans don't like you guys because you guys been doing, your fucking Karina over there and other VAs have been talking just mad shit about the community itself. So why would they trust you? Why? Why would they? Huh? Take a look at what's been happening the past couple of days, hun. These people have been talking mad shit about the community and calling the whole Genshin community insane. Well, we already know Genshin Impact fans can be kind of insane, but
I want to know my job will exist in the future, but I also want my job to exist right now. If Jen was angry the other day because she cares, then I'm angry too, and we need to stop treating everyone, both on the other side of the table and in our own community, like the enemy.
Yeah.
So, let's pause there really quick. I find this particularly interesting because I was just reading a Blue Sky post from a different voice actor. I think the post is from yesterday, and their take was the complete opposite. This voice actor was saying we need to ignore the fans from the communities who are upset with us, who are criticizing us.
What the fuck?
Basically saying that they're not important and going on to
See,
argue
that's
that
the problem right there.
everyone else agrees with us, so just ignore the fans. Completely
That's so stupid.
opposite of what
That's
Allegra
so
Clark is saying
stupid, to be honest.
on that specific point. Just thought that was interesting. Continuing. To be clear with all of this, I'm using terms like contract a little loosely because I'm not in the room and don't know what exists in writing. It's not like there's a piece of paper that nobody is signing right now. I'm under the impression there's still some stuff to discuss. Negotiations are very difficult, and I commend everyone who has participated at the table for the hard work they've put in for the past few years. But it's been a few years now. Even if we've only been striking for 9 months, we need to come to an agreement soon for everyone's sake. Also, I'm home recovering from a sinus infection right now, so if any of my words are wiggly, that's why. Pro tip, don't let your allergies turn into an infection. Well, hopefully she can kick that infection. A top comment also responds, saying, I firmly believe that the strike would be successful if SAG just stick to striking union companies from the list they presented day one. But the moment SAG tried to sneak non-union project into the strike, they lost. This was and still is a poor decision. Sorry for being rude. We'll take a look at 3 more responses here. The first one saying, if the fight was only about AI, okay, most of the fans will still side with the VA.
Yeah, of course.
But after the Kenichi polemics, when the real reason goes to light,
Yeah.
I think it's impossible to believe in this fight after that. All of us fans feels like we was betrayed. The next one reading, all I know is that I want VAs to get all the protections that they deserve, regardless of what has happened. That doesn't make anyone any less deserving of proper protections in their work. I wish you all the best and to see the community recover ASAP. And the last one reading. In general, fans have been inclined to side with the actors that give voice to their beloved characters, instead of with a big company. But like everyone else, fans are prone to turn their back to those who lie to them, actively lie or by omission, for their own gain. Oh my gosh, guys, do you remember when I was reading
For fuck's
that
sakes.
post from Allegra Clark, and I mentioned how part of it reminded me of the opposite
Not
of what
this
another
guy.
guy was saying? It was freaking Little Karibo. I forgot it was this guy. Look at this. He said this. If you're an actor participating in the strike of certain video games and you feel discouraged by the response to certain games being struck, I highly recommend looking at how people are talking about the strike outside of those games' fandoms. There's plenty of positive conversation and support. So yeah, it's like the opposite of where Allegra Clark said, I want to know my job will exist in the future, but I also want my job to exist right now.
That's good that, you know, the voice actress for Beto is like basically, you know, not being like, you know, the other people that are in Blue Sky at the very moment, which is good. You know, I get positive, you know. Maybe then everyone confuses me as the voice actress of Beto, you know.
Jen was angry the other day.
So I'm
because
happy.
She cares
I'm good.
That I'm angry too, and we need to stop treating everyone, both on the other side of the table and in our own community, like the enemy. A little Karibo seems to disagree. He seems to think if you're in the community but you disagree with SAG-AFTRA and or the strike and or what
He's
the VAs are
stupid,
doing,
to be
if you
honest.
criticize any of that or even simply disagree with it, that you're not even worth listening to. And he also got like 320 likes on his post. Presumably there are plenty of VAs who agree with Little Karibo, and this further shows that there is a growing and increasingly growing divide in the VA space. Now, to be quite frank, the statements that we have seen from Jennifer Hale and Allegra Clark are certainly better than the statements that we've seen from a lot of VAs.
Of course, yeah.
But that is also a really low bar, you know? And they are correct when they talk about fans distrusting them, which I think actually Jennifer Hale didn't talk about, just Allegra Clark. So Allegra Clark is definitely correct about fans not trusting them, and that's for good reason. Like, they have lied to us. They've tried to manipulate us, use us to support their strike without question. And then when we did raise some questions, they got all mad, insulted us, and in some cases tried to get the subreddit banned, the our Genshin Impact subreddit banned.
That's crazy.
In some cases then like smear us all as like alt-right. How dare you question SAG? You must be alt-right. Like all kinds of brain rot nonsense like that. It's just pathetic behavior from these people who are supposed to be grown adult professionals. And they did this all to themselves, by the way. These are people who can choose to be a part of the union or not. These are people who can choose to go up against the other VAs who are doing wrong in their industry or not. For example, we recently saw the VA for Venti going up against what the union demands and going up against the other VAs who are loyalists, who are bootlickers to the union. Like, these people do have choices, and I understand the choices might not be easy. Oh, we're afraid of what the other VAs might say about us, or that SAG's gonna get mad at us. So they really want to have the cake and they want to eat it too. They want to appease SAG and also still have the support from the fans who they will openly lie to and manipulate. And this makes people trust the VAs even less because they also have a financial incentive on both ends. They have a financial incentive to try and support SAG and trying to get them contracts that pay them more money and make all the jobs union jobs. They also have a financial incentive to try and appease the fans because they want money from the fans for things like signatures, maybe merch, stuff like that. So for a while, they thought they could have the best of both worlds. As mentioned, oh, hey, we can support SAG and string the fans along and lie to them and still get them to buy our autographs and show up to our signing events, blah, blah, blah. Now they're seeing that might not be the case. Maybe they can't have both. So the ones who are just now, after all the backlash, coming out to try and appease the fans, as mentioned, how do you know if you can trust those people, if they're even genuine? Let's check out the post on our Genshin Impact about what Allegra had to say and read some of the top posts over there. For example, this one, where Allegra said, I'm constantly bracing myself, wondering who I can trust, who's talking about me behind my back. Fans don't trust us. We'll never recover from this. This top comment reads, that's the saddest part, honestly. This whole situation is such a huge mess, and they really won't recover from this. It's nice to hear another voice actor's thoughts on this, and we might see more speaking soon. Basically, the domino effect.
I'm hoping.
The response they got reads, if Allegra Clark reads this topic, the fans trusted the voice actors when the fans thought this was about guaranteeing their voices couldn't be used for AI without consent and compensation. The attempted SAG-AFTRA flip in the shadows has poisoned the entire conversation. The fans still think that the AI clause doesn't seem necessary, considering all the countries Genshin is already in that already have AI protection clauses, and the fact that MiHoYo has only ever used AI once with an actor's permission to fill in their voice, while they were otherwise unavailable to voice. But if the only point of consideration is AI, that would guarantee far less anger, less to argue over from the fan base. Fans want to hear actors voicing the characters they pay for, not me.
Wait. They already actually used someone's voice or so for AI or so? Really? Wonder when was that or so? I'd be curious when that was. Granted, of course, they got their permission or so for it because they couldn't be able to. They probably had to do something else that they couldn't be able to voice the character during that specific time frame.
Machines. meaning any genuine attempt at replacing actors with robots
It's interesting.
would result in immediate actor solidarity, and MiHoYo losing untold millions in the service of trying to save on a small percentage of that. I hope you guys can get your ducks in a row soon, figure out which battles are worth fighting. SAG-AFTRA is a poor hill to die on. And this response saying, I think she's talking about the strike as a whole, including against companies that genuinely are trying stuff with AI. Not Hoyo's case specifically, but someone correct me if I'm wrong. Well, I think Allegra was kind of like talking about both things, but Jennifer Hale's statement that Allegra was responding to, Jennifer Hale seems like she was specifically talking about the official 2023 video game strike. At least that's how I'm interpreting it. But let's see what this person says. So far as I've seen, the MiHoYo fan base is the only one actually prying into the nature of the strike.
The English VA scene has been an absolute dumpster fire ever since the Vic drama. It shows how click-filled the whole freaking industry is, how desperate the VAs are to assert creative control over actual projects. Oh yeah, I already know about the Vic Magonia thing or so, because I know he was like annoyed or so because they were like accusing him of this sort of like what was it, sexual harassment or something like that, or I don't know, I forgot what it was or so. Of course it wasn't true or anything like that, you know. That's crazy to hear that, in my personal opinion, during that time, because I was hearing that information when it was kind of like, what the fuck is happening over there?
See what is going on and form an opinion on it. We are the only ones who have shown them distrust, and our protest against SAG-AFTRA is apparently so meaningless to the media or being suppressed. Yeah, that wouldn't be surprising. That not a single real news agency has written an article about it in the past month that I can find. Or, I've not seen discussions elsewhere in other communities rallying against VAs. Are there any? Ooh, what's this response? I recall before it blew up in our community, Hades/Supergiant had a very similar drama a few weeks before us. Ooh. Linking to this post, we'll take a look at that after. Going on to say, Hades 2 is a non-union project, but they had a VA that was trying to strong-arm Supergiant into signing SAG's interim agreement, and was consequently replaced as a result. Granted, I don't follow their community, so I know nothing more than the fact that it happened around 2 months ago. Interesting. We'll read this.
So they were trying to be, oh wow, so they were trying to force them to sign the agreement for SAG-AFTRA, and then they said, fuck you, we're gonna replace you, and yeah, goodbye, bitch.
Wants to take a look at
That's
that
crazy.
Post. Oh, right. For a moment, I forgot about Marine trying to turn the community into her personal army. Oh, gosh.
Who?
Why do so many VAs do that, man? They really think they're into...
I'm gonna be honest with you. There are so many VA names that I do not know off the top of my head, to be honest. This is why I don't really follow, like, you know, famous people, so...
Titled to the internet becoming their personal army simply because people like how they voice a character or characters. Back at this comment. Oh, right. For a moment, I forgot.
I don't
Marine
follow
trying
them,
to turn the community into a personal army and unleash them on Supergiant Games on Twitter for them to flip SAG-AFTRA. That didn't get much traction because she failed so poorly to accomplish anything. Yeah, I didn't even know about that. That sounds hilarious. I wish I covered that. The only consequence of that is, oh my gosh. Wait, Little Kribo. The only consequence of that is Little Kribo, her husband, endlessly going to bat for SAG-AFTRA. Seems to have been more of a splash in the community and nothing more.
Huh?
That consequence, by the way, has been hilarious for all of us. Like, whenever that guy's shilling for SAG-AFTRA, it's some of the most funny stuff to read. It's actually really, really entertaining. Okay, so that takes us to the other post that was linked there about the Hades 2 situation. We'll briefly go over this, although I kind of feel like I'm burying the lead here at the end. This would probably be better off as its own separate video, even though this happened 2 months ago. Maybe I should just like talk about this separately. I don't know yet. But we'll very briefly talk about this here, and then I'll figure that out. And if you have an opinion on that also, feel free to comment down below. Okay, so we got this post from Art Games 2 months ago that reads, Marin M. Miller, Hades 2 VA, says, it's possible you may hear me get recast in a particular game that is very popular. If I am, it was not because I stepped away from the character willingly. Smile. It's because the employer refused to flip to an interim contract during the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strike. And we can see that very post here on Blue Sky. What makes it even more amusing, though, is the second part, where Marin also said, it would be super helpful if you wrote a giant email asking them to flip for their actors. Yep, it's just like what we read back over on Reddit.
So you were just trying to force a goddamn studio to sign your stupid fucking contract? Who the fuck do you think you are? Coming into a fucking studio, demanding them to fucking sign a contract, and you're not even... you're just a voice actress. You just lend your voice for a character. That's it. You don't demand anything. You can't demand a studio to do something. You don't even own the studio.
Pathetic look. Really, really pathetic.
Who the fuck is
So,
this
yeah, I probably
person?
will cover that separately rather than bury the
Hold
lead.
up, hold up, hold up. I need to know who this person is. Marin M. Miller. Let me see. Hold up. We need to do some research, chat. We need to do some research. Let me see. Marin M. Miller, VA. Is it this one? Is it this one? Athena. Oh, you voiced a Dragon Age the Veilguard character? I see. You voice acted Mobile Suit Gundam, Seven Deadly Sins, Delicious in Dungeon, Legends of Heroes, Trails into Revere, Moshly, Records of Ragnarok. Like I know some of them, but not. Not really too crazy about these roles. Like, they're all kind of like, you know, they're all right roles, but they're nothing too crazy. Meh. You know, meh. I guess. I don't know.
Pathetic look. Really,
Meh.
really pathetic. So yeah, I probably will cover that separately rather than bury the lead on that here at the end, because it does look really funny to go over. There's plenty of stuff we could read about that. It definitely would not be like as long of a segment as this one, but I mean, it might be like a 5-10 minute long video. We'll see. I think it would be entertaining. Hopefully you guys would enjoy that. I think I would enjoy making that video and talking about that. But again, you're all going to agree or disagree in the comments. Please do let me know. And let me know what you think about this video overall, including all that Jennifer Hale and Allegra Clark stuff. And actually, that reminds me, there's one last thing I want to show you guys. Some additional context on a recent statement that Jennifer Hale made about the strike. But this was something she said in a video. So 2 weeks ago, Jennifer Hale was on this channel, Fall Damage, with their video titled, "Can Jennifer Hale Remember Her Iconic Lines?" And seemingly out of nowhere, she just starts talking about the strike. Now, to be fair to Jennifer Hale, maybe the person interviewing her prompted her to talk about the strike, like asked her about it, and they just edited that part out from the video. But the video itself does make it look, as mentioned, that this came out of the blue, which was like just kind of like random feeling. But anyways, let me show you what I'm talking about. If we go here and start playing.
Here's a couple heroes right about now.
Love that character. Love that story. Love that company. Man, this was a dream. This was such a dream. The biggest issue in the strike is AI. It is the actors and the producers need to turn side to side and look together at the issues. The issues are the challenge, not each other. They are not out to steal our souls and to squeeze us out of a living. They're just not. I don't think so. The actors are excited to do really good work, and the producers want to work with us. They value us so much. I have heard it from so many of them. What we have to do is find a way to create common ground. Otherwise, we're all screwed. They say there's no...
Who's we, though? Okay, but really, just thought you guys might enjoy that context.
Interesting.
As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Consider liking and or subscribing if you did enjoy the coverage. And yeah, thanks again. I'll see you in the next one, and have a great rest of your weekend.
Okay, so from what we've from what we noticed so far, right? Looks like it's been completely well, we all know for a fact that the fucking, you know, the whole fucking strike is a failure anyways. For a while now, to be honest. I thought, you know, initially, right, I thought the strike was already over a long time ago.
So it's
right?
been a little...
I thought it was already over. I thought this was done with, but no, we still kept talking about it even in 2025. So I remember her as Leia from I don't know who she is, to be honest. Like I said, I don't follow famous people. They don't really interest me as much, so yeah. But yeah, like I said, where was I? Strike failed. To be honest, it was already a failure from the very beginning, to be honest. Well, ever since it was getting exposed about it being, you know, it's not really just about the AI. They wanted to monopolize the entire VA industry. That's what they wanted to do. And once everyone knew about it, you know, everyone was just kind of like, hey, wait a second, this doesn't sound right. And then also on top of that, some of these Genshin VAs were harassing freaking the new VA for, you know, Kenichi or so, and they decided to harass him for no apparent reason. And then, well, Lord of Behold, look what you got now. So, and then you also have Miss Carino, so fucking having a mental breakdown, you know, of whatever the fuck she's talking about over there, you know. Problem in the VA industry wouldn't be happening if they would learn to shut their mouths on social media and not try to exert a creative control over projects that they know. She ain't famous, but I remember a lot of games she was in. Her levels like Liam O'Brien Big Begonia level. What? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. But hey, you know what? If this is the end of the Genshin VA strike, thank fucking God. Thank fucking God, dude. I want this shit to end already, to be honest. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I'm so tired of talking about this. I'm tired of talking about this. Everyone's tired of talking about this. I'm tired. You're tired. We're all tired. You know, it's just like, how does this shit still keep going? You know, they just won't shut up, you know? They just need to shut up. That's it. Well, I hope this is the end. Question mark. I want this to end, to be honest. I just want this to end. Yeah, take care. Be safe, hun. Thank you for coming by as always. Very much appreciated. So you take care. You be safe. You be safe. You're always welcome to come hang out with me at any time, all right? Anyways. C and D list are a little Karibo. I'm probably in the F tier because I haven't done any VA stuff in a long time. So yeah. And that's pretty much about it. So anyways, that's the end of the video. You guys can comment, like, subscribe, do all that fancy jazzy stuff. But yeah, this might be the end. Well, I'm crossing my fingers that this is the end of the VA strike thing. But yeah, anyways, can we finally move on to something else, for God's sakes? Like, you guys already lost the war already, okay? All right, you're not winning this. Ever since you guys exposed yourself of what you guys really wanted to do with this whole strike, you know, and then everyone found out, and then you're going against, and after that, you guys are going against the Genshin community. Trying to go up against the Genshin community is probably the most biggest mistake you'll ever do in your entire life. The Genshin community is crazy, all right? Those guys are crazy, all right? But yeah, anyways, that's the end of the video, and peace.